All right, so today we're going to go on a little expedition. Our destination? The inside of a MacBook Pro. And our mission, which really sounds simple enough, is just to replace the battery. But as you're about to see, this is way less of a simple repair and a lot more like a high-stakes journey through an engineering marvel. So let's get into it.
I mean, it's a fair question, right? A battery is supposed to be a consumable part. It wears out, swapping it should be easy. A lot of us remember the old days. You just pop a latch, slide the old battery out, and click a new one in. Simple. But in the world of these sleek, modern laptops, well, the answer is it's a lot harder than you could possibly imagine.
And this really just nails the difference, doesn't it? On one side, you have the dream, a quick three-step job. But on the other, you've got the reality, pulled straight from the iFixit repair guide. It's a 6-stage saga with dozens of tiny, nerve-wracking steps. This isn't a swap, it's a full-on teardown.
And if you want a number, here it is, over 30 steps. That's the official count in the iFixit guide for this one repair. And that's not even counting all the little warnings, the sub-steps, or the fact that you have to do it all in reverse to put it back together. Right away, you know this is not your average DIY project.
And get this, before you even pick up a tool, this is the warning you get in step 1. This isn't just about not breaking your expensive laptop. This is about your own personal safety. The stakes are set right from the beginning. There are real risks here.
So, our journey begins. Phase 1 is just opening the case. And as we're about to find out, calling it a case doesn't do it justice. It's more like trying to breach a fortress.
Right off the bat, you can't use a normal screwdriver. You need a special P5 pentalobe driver. And it's not even that simple. There are 8 screws, but they come in 2 different lengths. If you mix those up when you're putting it back together, you could seriously damage the inside of the machine. The challenge literally starts before you even get the cover off.
And you'd think after all that trouble with the screws, you'd be in, right? Nope. The case is also held on by a bunch of hidden clips and fasteners that you can't even see. You need special tools, like suction cups and plastic picks, just to carefully pry and slide it open without messing anything up.
This quote from the guide really brings it home. The experts, the people who wrote this thing, are telling you to wear gloves because the machine itself is sharp enough to cut you. That's just how precisely and tightly this thing is sealed.
Okay, so we've breached the unibody. We're in. But instead of seeing our target, the battery, we're greeted by this dense maze of circuit boards, delicate ribbon cables, and tiny connectors. They're all standing between us and our goal.
And here's where it gets kind of wild. The main battery connector, the one thing you absolutely have to disconnect first for safety, is physically blocked. You can't get to it. You have to start taking other, completely unrelated parts out just to reach it.
And on your way, you'll run into things like this, a ZIF connector, zero insertion force. It's the perfect example of how careful you need to be. You have to use a special little tool to flip up a tiny plastic flap before you can slide out a paper-thin cable. A little too much pressure and snap. It's broken.
So here's the kicker. The battery is buried underneath the trackpad assembly. To even get a shot at the glue that's holding the battery down, you have to disconnect all these other cables and then remove the entire trackpad.
Let's just pause on that number for a second. 13. 13 more screws, and they're different sizes too. That's just to get the trackpad out. So at this point, we're up to 21 screws in total, and we still haven't even touched the battery itself. Okay, this is probably my favorite warning in the entire guide. It's so specific. It's not just the screws you have to worry about, but these tiny, loose metal washers that, and I'm quoting here, will fly off and get lost with very little provocation. It just paints such a vivid picture of how meticulous and high stakes this whole operation is.
All right, the trackpad is out. We've navigated the labyrinth, and we can finally see what we came for. But it's protected by one last, really tough defense. What I'm calling the adhesive gauntlet.
See, the battery isn't held in by screws or clips. It's literally glued to the frame of the laptop. To get it free, you have to beat these 14 individual adhesive strips, and each one has to be removed perfectly, or things get a whole lot harder. There's a very specific technique to this. It's almost meditative. You can't just yank on them. You have to pull slowly, steadily, at a really low angle, and let the adhesive stretch itself out from under the battery. Kind of like you're pulling a piece of taffy. It takes a ton of patience and a really steady hand. But what happens if your perfect pull isn't so perfect? Well, if a strip snaps, the guide is crystal clear. Your first instinct is probably to just get a screwdriver and pry the battery up. That is the most dangerous thing you can do. If you puncture that battery, you could start a serious fire.
So the backup plan is basically a chemistry lesson.
You have to carefully drip isopropyl alcohol around the battery to dissolve the leftover glue, wait for it to work, and then gently slide a plastic card underneath to slice it free. Even failing has its own complicated multi-step process.
And with that, the battery is finally out. But this whole 30-step ordeal tells a much bigger story. It's not just about a battery, it's about the technology we use every single day.
What this all reveals is a clear choice. The design, the thinness, that was prioritized way over making it easy to repair. That complexity creates this huge barrier for regular people, which is at the heart of the whole right to repair movement. It shows all the hidden work and risk in what we think of as a simple fix. And yet, you still have to step back and admire the incredible engineering it took to pack everything in so tightly. And so, this whole 30-step journey really leaves us with this big fundamental question about our relationship with our tech. It's a masterpiece of design, no doubt, but that very design takes away our ability to easily maintain it. It really forces us to ask, in a world of sealed-off, complex gadgets, what does it even mean to truly own something?